Here we go.
We pretty much start every show laughing because we are pretty darn goofy. So hi, I'm Dr. Minette Riordan here with my husband, Brad Dobson. We are the co-hosts and founders of the Path to Profit Academy and the Path to Profit podcast. And it's been kind of a fun morning around our house. We actually had a couple of colleagues here staying overnight. And so even before the interview started, we spent the last couple of hours drinking coffee and masterminding and talking about our businesses. And through that same organization is how we met our guest, Petra Mayer today, who we're having on the show today. And Petra, did I say your last name right?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. And so we're super excited to have Petra, who we met through a program called Thrive Academy. And Petra's going to be talking about online courses and online programs, the do's, the don'ts, the when to get started, when not to get started. She's got some great tips, strategies, advice, and insights. And I think I've probably made all the mistakes. I'm pretty excited to help some of our listeners not.
So did I.
Yeah, I made some of those mistakes.
So Brad, you want to share the quote and the bio?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, awesome.
So our quote for today is a Zig Ziglar quote. You don't build a business, you build people, and then people build the business. I love that. People focused. So I'll read a little bit about Petra to introduce you all to her. With more than 20 years of experience in the corporate world and her private practice, Petra Mayer is a business strategy coach based in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. Woo! That's where I went to school, UBC. Petra lends her expertise to coaches, consultants, and service-based professionals who need help turning their vision into action, specifically to create a signature system of online courses and group programs. Through a systematic approach, Petra helps her clients gain clarity and overcome barriers in order to create an online presence that attracts their ideal clients and results in the freedom entrepreneurs seek in their business. I love that. Welcome, Petra.
Thank you. Thank you very much to both of you for having me on the show. And it was great to see some fellow thrivers earlier in your house. So I wish I could have been there in person.
Fun to catch people passing through. You know, we live in Santa Barbara, California, right on the 101. So a lot of times people passing back and forth from LA to the Bay Area, you know, we can get some fun stop-in traffic. So Petra, we'd love for you to start by just sharing a little bit about what's happening in your business now. What are you working on? What are you super excited about for the rest of this year?
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always excited. Even, you know, later in the year, I'm always excited because I always look into the next year already. I'm a very future-oriented person, I think. Nice. And with that, I've done a lot over the last year with regards to the building of the programs. And this year is all about marketing the programs and filling it and really getting more people into my programs so that they can benefit from what I have and what I have to teach. But also, I have a 3-day event that I'm doing at the end of October, which I'm really excited about. And it's the first time I'm venturing into that in a bigger scale rather than kind of a workshop that is part of my program. It's really a bigger event. And I'm really excited about that.
Nice.
And
what's the name of it? Do you know yet?
Oh yeah, it's the Big Leap Bootcamp live event.
Nice.
And it's happening here in Vancouver, BC, 26 to 28 October. And it's all about learning how to create your first program. If that's for, you know, the listeners, if they are starting with that, then that's a great way to get started and really get your head around this whole topic of creating programs. But it's also for those who may already have a program or are working on theirs already to build it into their signature system, because a standalone program isn't going to be as effective in your business as a series of programs that lead naturally to each other. Right. And that's a process. I mean, we're all, and I think you've seen that. I certainly see that. It's a process. We start working on one program and that covers a certain level, and then we want a different level. And then we're kind of filling it, and it starts potentially at the higher end program, and we go back to building some lower income programs later that could naturally lead to it, to also accommodate some clients who perhaps aren't ready to go with the higher end programs.
I love that perspective of really understanding how to sequence your content to serve your clients, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're positioning this as online courses, what you're really paying careful attention to is what Zig Ziglar said about not building business, building people. And so when you constantly ask the question, what do my clients need next?
Yes.
What do they need now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, ideally that's what I try and help my clients to start with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey said, to really think about where do you want your clients to get to. Now, we're also developing. As we are developing our clients, we are also always developing. We're always on a journey. So as we are developing, we are probably adding new things to that destination that we can take our clients to, and they can grow with us. And that's the amazing piece of when you're really looking at it holistically, that you can see how you can take a client from your first contact, which may be a free gift, it may be a podcast show, it may be that they saw you speaking at an event, that might be that first interaction, to potentially working with them for a long time and really helping them to advance their business or at their life, wherever you are focusing on in your business.
So tell me a little bit about how you came to this place in your business of being passionate about online programs. What's been your personal journey that got you to this place?
You know, that's always a funny question, because I don't remember the moment when I decided that's the topic. I just did it. And then looking back, I'm like, how did I get here? I'm not really sure anymore. But I mean, I come from a corporate background. I used to work in many countries across multiple continents, in mostly companies actually in the hospitality and travel sector. That's been always my experience. I've worked for hotels, tour operators, airlines. And then I moved to Canada in 2001 to work here for the Airline Alliance management company for the One World carriers, so around British Airways and American Airlines. And in 2011, the decision was made to move that office that was here in Vancouver to New York. And I didn't want to live in New York. Now, I've always had it at the back of my mind. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I never had the guts to do it. And I felt that this was the moment where somebody was kicking me in the rear end and said, no, go for it. So I did. I mean, I was, kind of a chicken, because I tried everything. I tried to look for jobs. I tried to look for contract work and work on building a business. But ultimately, I got a good contract, which helped me get started and make some recurring business money every month. And then started building out new services, networking, the whole 9 yards. I didn't need to do that when I was in the job. You start from scratch. I didn't have a local network. I had a global network. And my global network didn't help me to get local work.
Yeah.
So I started actually to continue in the path that I had done professionally, which was more in the website environment. I was doing website strategy work for smaller to medium-sized businesses. And I realized it wasn't really making my heart sing. And then I stumbled over, why not become a coach? So I did my coaching certification here at Simon Fraser University.
Nice.
And then I got into Thrive. It was like stepping stones. I didn't even realize I was on a path. But ultimately, looking back, I realized it was a very clear path that I was on. I joined Thrive. I joined the eWomen Network. And both of those have been instrumental in me experiencing totally new things that I didn't even know kind of existed before that, making totally different connections, getting connected locally through eWomen Network, getting connected in San Jose and the Bay Area through Thrive, and then building that out onto a level. eWomen allows me to build my network wherever their chapters are, and I've been traveling a lot and speaking at their chapters, and it's just made a big change in my business. And suddenly I look back and I've got multiple programs developed, and I'm teaching others to create programs. And it's really funny, because I know that when I started off, I totally failed to doing it. I created my first programs, and I got some people signed up for it, and I knew they were, I thought they would be good until I realized they weren't. And that's when I realized I needed to learn how to do this and join other programs to learn how to actually do this.
It seems like there's a lot of, maybe we'll delve into this a little bit.
Yeah, because there's some great juicy stuff in there.
It's like there's a lot of opportunities with online programs, I guess with anything, but there's a lot of opportunities for failure points. Mm-hmm. Clearly, marketing the program is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
But then pricing it, content delivery, the technology end of things, the engagement, where people are getting stuck in the program, and in upsells at the end, all of those things. So what kind of arc are you taking people on when you work with them on training them to create and implement online programs?
Yeah, and I mean, first I want to say I totally agree with you. Those are all potential traps, but I also want to say, but there is a lot of reward at the other end. Once you've navigated through that, there is a lot of reward when you have programs, because you can serve more clients, and you can do that and have more freedom in your life and just have an easier life. I mean, I do a lot of things in my business right now, but when I think about the work that comes with delivering my online programs, that's the part of my business that I love the most. And it's also the part that in some ways is the easiest.
Yeah.
I know that there is a path to get there that can be, there's a lot of work involved in it. And I don't want to say, it comes like nothing. There is a lot of work involved, but there is really a reward once you've gone through it. So I want your listeners to really know that there is really a benefit to stick it through. That's the first thing. Now, you asked what path I take them on, and I have developed a 5-step process, and this is the 5-step process I take my clients through in the Big Leap Bootcamp, which is my signature program. And I start with a strategy. It's really understanding first, what do you want out of your own life? How do you want to live your life? What kind of involvement do you want with your clients? Do you want to have a lot of one-on-one involvement? Do you love working in groups? Do you want to involve, are you wanting to be involved with them in a life environment? Or do you want to have less of that because perhaps you want more freedom from your location and your time? So you want to distance yourself from that. That means you automate.
I'm going to pause you for just a moment, because I think I actually want you to say more about this concept that you're talking about. So when I think online program, it's so easy to think, oh, home study, hands off, passive income, but that's not how you're defining an online program. And I love that you're starting with, what's the point of the online program for how you want to connect with your clients. Can you define online program for us?
Yeah, so for me, how I define online program is, if you're thinking about a continuum between point A and B, and point A is you're delivering everything live. Like what we're doing here right now, we have a session using Zoom, and this could be a coaching session for all, this could be something that we do live.
Sessions.
But we're using an online resource to do this. So we still have a lot of freedom. We don't have to travel anywhere. We don't have to be stuck in traffic, park our car, and we don't have to be in the same location.
Yeah.
We are not in the same location. We can have this conversation. A few years back, that wasn't possible. We would have to do it via phone. And a few years before that, that would have been very expensive. So today, the technology gives us opportunities to get in touch with our clients in a live environment, but doing this online from the comfort of our home or home office. So that's point A. Everything is delivered live, but we're using an online delivery component. Point B, the other extreme, is everything is automated. Everything is pre-recorded, and you don't have that personal interaction at all. It can be you can have a client nowadays who finds you through Facebook, LinkedIn, or through your website. They sign up for a free gift. They ultimately sign up for your program. They do your program. They take away their learning. They implement it in their life, and you never have any touch points with your clients. That's possible. Technically, totally possible. Now, is that the best client engaging strategy? Possibly not. But for smaller programs, it could be very, very viable. And it can be used for even client attraction. So you can use that as a lead magnet. It can be a lower end program that you provide free or at low cost as a lead magnet, or it could be an additional service that you provide to your client that you can even give away as a bonus into your other programs. Now, an online program can be anywhere on that continuum. And where you position it as a program developer is really up to you. And in order for you to find that sweet spot where you have it, you need to know exactly the lifestyle that you want to live, and you need to know who your audience is, who your ideal client is, and how you serve them best.
I so love when someone else comes on the show and talks about how important ideal client is. Because people get tired of, we talk about it all the time. And so here it is showing up again. It's like crucial, right?
Oh, it's crucial. It's crucial. And I always start with that. So it's part of my strategy component. That first step that we started talking about is really to be clear about what I want as the creator of the program. And what do my clients want? And for that, I need to know who they are. Yeah. And I need to know what pain points they have and how I can help them to overcome that. Or what they want to aspire to and how I can help them to support that.
Do you think online programs will work for any type of business?
Well, if you're a massage therapist, you need to have your person in front of you. However, even a massage therapist could create an online course, a small program that they can add as a value add to their clients that helps their clients to stay perhaps more aligned with their body, to maintain that body structure, that muscle structure for a longer period of time, to live a better lifestyle, or whatever it is that they might want to add. So it could be a value add. It can differentiate them from other massage therapists, or it could be something that helps them to find new clients into their massage therapy. So they could create it as an educational piece that allows a potential client to learn something and then ties them to coming back into their practice to get the massage. So it can be used in that way. Now, my clients are typically other coaches, they're consultants, they might be physical trainers. For example, I'm working right now with a woman who used to be predominantly a Pilates instructor, and she's creating an amazing program for women in their 40s and upwards who are having pelvic floor issues, and to help them to build up an exercise system that they can support their body structure in a way that they don't have to go to other means. And so it can be something that you would normally think she needs to work with her clients in person. She doesn't have to.
Right.
So she develops a program that helps them to overcome that. Other typical clients, it could be, for example, even a financial advisor. Now, they are sometimes in a tricky situation.
Yeah, they're a little tricky about what they're allowed to do.
But if they're independent and if they have some flexibility, then they can certainly create a training program that helps to educate their clients about financial strategies, etc. I am working with a financial strategist at the moment to build out her program. So it certainly is possible to build out kind of how do you want to look at your financial futures more strategically. So sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. As someone who does online courses and, does live events as well, what's the difference between, other than the technology piece, what's the difference between online programs or teaching online and teaching live? Let me simplify it that way.
Yeah, and this is a really important difference to consider from an engagement perspective, because when you are teaching your content in a pre-recorded way, you need to be quite aware how your client is going through that process. You need to visualize that and really build it out in a way that stays engaging for them. Yeah. So what my clients benefit from as I take them through an assessment where they learn what their own preferred learning style is.
Nice.
And after they understand their learning style and the other learning styles, they also understand what's in their blind spot, which is far more important than knowing what we are good at. It's actually more important for us what we're not naturally drawn to. Because when we are developing material for our clients, they come from their learning style. And what engages these different people on these different learning styles is quite different. Some people need to reflect with the reason why we're even doing this. So we want to be really clear about why is this important that we're doing this. And if they don't get that message right at the beginning, they get disengaged and they drop out. And they may not continue the course because they don't feel it's relevant. It doesn't resonate with them. Others really want to know all the details. They struggle sometimes to go forward into the implementation because they feel there's always more to learn and I need to learn everything first before I can go into the implementation. So understanding how to get a person like that into that implementation circle
Yeah,
is
brilliant.
something that you need to do in how you build out your content to drive them from understanding why it's important, what they need to learn, and then the next step would be how they implement it. So what is it? How are they going to use what I put into the program so that they get the transformation for which they actually purchased the program?
Right.
And how am I going to help them to do that?
I love how deep you're diving into the fundamentals. I mean, the first thing out of your mouth was, why, or sort of why do you want to do an online course? And then who is your ideal client? How do they learn? Those types of things. It's not just, hey, you're gonna use this WordPress plugin and you're gonna use this video camera and blah 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 blah. It's not about that. It's
no.
Let's talk about the impact you want to have and how you want to do that first. So crucial.
Yeah.
I know different personalities, even between Minette and I, sometimes we want to dive into something and other times we want to think through things, and it's crucial to have a good idea of all of those things first.
Yeah. One of the challenges I've experienced is people meet me in person, fall in love with me, not to be totally egotistical about it. But they like my teaching style, right?
Yeah.
They're engaged by what I'm doing and who I'm being. And so they buy an online program, but their learning style is not to learn online. And so we've seen our son struggle with this. I actually have someone in one of my online programs right now. It's like the technology piece is getting in her way of accessing the content, even though it's like we couldn't have made it simpler for people. But for her to sit at the computer and listen to the audio and take notes and do the homework. So that learning style piece is crucial. And so I'm curious if you have any insight or support in, how do we support people through that process?
Yeah, I actually have, most of my programs do have a lot of interactive elements about it. So, I mean, I teach classes using Zoom. It's actually more like I do what I think they call the reverse classroom. A lot of my teaching is actually pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And when I'm in the Zoom room with them, and I incorporate a lot of time in this type of environment, that's more about looking at their blockages, looking at, what they're struggling with, their overwhelm, because people get overwhelmed very easily. And to really understand how can I support them in that life environment so that they make that next crucial step. Because it's sometimes just getting the person to the next step. Now, this is easier when you have a program that includes interactive element, and it's not so easy if it's purely online. If it's purely online and you have a person like that, even, providing them with perhaps email support or a Facebook group where they can ask questions in the Facebook group will help them. Anything where they see there's an actual person there.
Yeah.
But I personally think that for most people, pure online learning, and, I've done it, and I'm actually in the process of doing a course right now, and I'm like sometimes procrastinating on it. I'm thinking like, oh my God, it's taking me forever to do this course, rather than just clicking through it, because there is no calls that supports this course.
Right. There's no manufactured deadlines or.
No, it just is like, okay, you're at your own devices, and that doesn't always work. And I also have clients. I have one client, she just recently said, I just don't know with the videos. And I said, well, have you tried it? No. And I said, well, okay, then your task today is to try and listen to one of these videos and see what you can pull out of it. And she did do actually multiple videos that day. She did realize that she's pulling things out of it, and it helped her to get over that next hurdle.
Yeah.
It's really, look at it as an obstacle course, and we've got to get our clients over the next hurdle. And we can do that easier when we're actually able to talk to them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of the realizations that, I came to in this whole dialogue around online courses is that I'm not interested in creating purely offhand, right? Just digital courses that people can go take that don't include the engagement, because it's not fun for me.
Yeah.
And I don't learn well that way. And I don't think it sets people up for success. So I have to say, I feel so excited because everything you said we're doing with our online course. So it's great affirmation that we're on the right path with the online course. But I also wanted to share a fun example with people that are listening, like Petra, she and I and Brad. Continuous improvement is like a high value, and we're always learning. So you heard Petra say she's creating courses, teaching courses, and taking courses. So are we. So we just signed up for a course with Seth Godin, who's one of our absolute heroes of marketing. It's on Teachable. It was like this affordable price. And I thought, I don't care. I can, there's so much I can learn from him. And so I wanted to share this because what he's doing to create the engagement piece without it being him personally, so that he's leveraging his time, is the emphasis and focus on community. So he actually built a forum. They built one forum, and everyone in the first iteration of the course complained about the forum and didn't like it. So they've actually chosen a new forum for discussion. And he, in every video and in every, text reminder that goes with it, he's like, okay, like 4 to 7 minute videos. Here's the homework. Go post the homework. And when you're in there, in order for this course to work, he said, you have to give first. So go comment on 2 or 3 other people's homework. And then, and I found yesterday, first of all, there's like, wow, it takes so much time to go in and support other people and give feedback. But then I was stuck on one of the pieces of homework that he was asking for. So I went to the forum and I read what other people were doing. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. And so there are ways, like Petra was saying, to create engagement that don't always require oodles and oodles of your personal time, right?
I totally agree with that. Now, Seth Godin, I suspect, has hundreds of people in this program. And so it's easier. Thousands, sorry, 100,000s probably. But when you are starting out as an entrepreneur and you don't have a big list, then it's a lot harder to do that on a forum basis. So here is one thing that I have done and still am doing. I offer once a month, I offer a Q&A call. And I open that up to anybody in any of my programs. And if somebody is coaching with me, they have access to it too. It's a Q&A call, which I use Zoom for. And everybody who is in my programs gets a reminder for that hourly, 1 hour web meeting. And it's Q&A time. It's their time. I don't create an agenda. And anybody from any program, anywhere, wherever they are on their journey, they can come and ask this question. It's 1 hour out of my month, but it allows me to also check in with people. It allows me to have a personal interaction with them. And I think for most of us who have smaller businesses, that's totally doable. An hour is totally doable. The other thing is, it really is about, you mentioned, that client that you had, and I certainly can relate to that from my own clients and my own experience, that we sometimes have trouble to continue going through a program. And it's really an accountability issue. We are putting our money into this program.
Yeah.
We're saying, this is what is going to help me to get to the next step. And if we're then not doing it, we're not accountable to ourselves to actually accomplish what we've set out to do.
Right.
Now, by giving homework, like what I loved how you described Seth Godin's work is that he's doing a little mini piece and then he's given homework and another mini piece and given homework. He's really chunking it down in something that is really doable. And that helps to keep people engaged. Now, you can still, even with small audience, you can still do a Facebook group. Doesn't cost us anything at this point in time. Let's hope it stays that way. But we can do a Facebook group, or you can have, depending on what portal you are using for your online course, you might have a forum included in the portal. So those are all technical possibilities that we have. There will still be some people who will it's not suitable for them to do an online course. And then ultimately,
so can you say more about that? Because I think that's an important question is, should I have an online course? And then if I should, when do I get started?
Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of let's look at the customer perspective first. So again, the customer you were mentioning, if she struggles so much with the technology side of thing, there's nothing you can do to overcome that. Unless you sit next to her or you encourage her to find a person who can teach her. because it's really a mental block rather than a real physical block, probably, of clicking that button on go. There's nowadays, these programs are built, they're so easy that I think everybody who wants to can learn this.
Right.
So if she doesn't learn it, then I think there's other things keeping her from doing that. It's not about the actual, it's too difficult. There's something else going on. So, and if she can't overcome that, she may not be the person to do an online course. And in that case, she really needs to invest in private practice and in the private service. Now, the other question from a perspective of a service professional who wants to offer a course. So I would suggest that makes sense for somebody who is already in business, has already perhaps a couple of years of business behind them, has already been working with clients, and has already started developing their own little system, like the unique way of doing things. Right. Because you want to have something that is like the secret sauce or the red thread that goes to your program that is uniquely you. You don't want to take somebody else's and copy it. Certainly not. That's off limit. But you want to, as a service professional, have a certain way of doing your services to then start, now I want to package that. I'm repeating the same thing over and over again with all my clients. That's a true sign that there is a potential program in the works. Yeah. And that's a great way to get started, to really think about what is it that you're always repeating for your clients. And that's kind of, I think, to me, that's where the juices need to flow into. How can we package that up and really leverage your time in a better way?
So in your Big Leap Bootcamp, are we going to get all this stuff and more?
Yes, in the Big Leap Bootcamp, I mean, we only really kind of talked about step 1 of the Big Leap Bootcamp. Let me just tell you the other 4 steps. The second step is really about planning the course. We talked a lot about the learning styles, and the learning styles are so important when we really think through how do we take the content and deliver it over time so that it becomes engaging. What kind of engaging content or engaging application sessions, interaction do I incorporate? What kind of tools do I provide? How do I make all this available? That's kind of part of the planning of the course. Once it's planned out, we need to create it. That's time to get the video camera out, or to get the documents created, to perhaps get into even perhaps sourcing an assessment tool that might be a good fit, things like that. So things that you can bring into the course that bring it all to life, that makes it interactive and engaging. Then once we've created it, we need to publish it. So publishing means we need to decide where do we house our program. So it can be on your website, or it can be on a platform that is kind of an off-the-shelf platform that makes it often a lot easier to create your program and for your clients to access it. And then ultimately we have to launch the program. And while all this is kind of a step-by-step process, we really need to think about the launch of the program very early in the game.
Yeah.
Because we need to know, do we have a big list? Most people don't. Right. And if we don't have a big list, then our launch strategies and sales strategies are different, which will impact the pricing, which will impact the content, and which will impact, at the start of this whole time, the strategy and the type of program that we're creating. Yeah. So we need to think about that very early on. And so the process, while it is linear, it also is in some ways circular.
Fascinating. I love that. So I know you have a free gift for people. Speaking of building your list.
Yes.
If you would tell people how to access that and a little bit about it, and then why list building is crucial.
Yeah. So list building is really important because when you've created your program, you want to be able to tell people about it. And if you don't know anybody, if you don't have an email list other than your personal email list, that makes it a lot harder. Yeah. So starting early about building out your email list so that you can then announce your program and do a pre-announcement or get people into a beta version of your program is really important. Yeah. And the best way to do that is to offer a gift. And here's the fantastic thing about offering a free gift online. It can also be a test. It can be a test of what you want your program to be about the content, the topic of your program. So if your gift gets accepted by the market, it gives you an indication that you will have demand for your program. Nice. So offering a free gift could be a document, or it could be a video, it could be a webinar, or things like that. So I have a a gift, which is called the top 10 ways of building your list with free gifts. And it gives you the top 10 versions of how you can create gifts so that you can start making those available to your ideal clients in the market and use it as a test and to build your list.
I think we probably should take a look at that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Always need fresh ideas.
Yeah, so you can download that. I have a bit.ly link to make it a little easier. So it's bit.ly / and then PMC, that's initials for Petra Mayer Consulting, -gifts. And it's important to use the plural.
Awesome.
And we'll have that in the show notes too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to ask, Petra? Or?
No, this has been great. It sounds like a fun trip to Vancouver as well.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So at the event, we talk about kind of these things, and we also talk a lot about how to fill your programs, which is a really important, as we talked about at the beginning, really important is it's like a half marathon by its own right, is the whole thing about filling your program. So it's important to think about that.
Awesome. And I'm so excited for you to host your very first 3-day event. So it's pretty cool. And I know you've been working hard towards that, and it's exciting to see all that come to fruition. Yeah. It's a journey, right? We've done 4 3-day events now, and it's such a learning process. And the first one was the best one.
Right? Yeah, you're my inspiration on that one, because I know that you've gone on that path and you keep tweaking it and you keep fine tuning it, and I see your posts about the results that you're getting, and that's really awesome, because we are, as with smaller groups and with smaller lists, it's a bit different game to the game that the big players play. So totally
is.
Gotta start somewhere.
You do. And so you can come spend September 22nd to 24th with Brad and I in Los Angeles. And then a month later, you can go to Vancouver and spend 3 days with Petra, because we're going to teach you about business models and about marketing. And then her program is the perfect segue for what's next, when to start those programs and how to get them going. It's a question we get a lot from our clients. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Petra. This was fun.
Thank you very much for having me. And it sounds like a great combination.
It does. We have to explore that a little bit more. And I'm thinking that we need to do a part 2 of this interview, because we didn't talk about technology, which is where I see people get really stuck with online programs. The content is the easy piece. So maybe we'll have to do a part 2 where you can share your hot tips and ideas for what the best technology is to get this.
That sounds great.
Cool.
All right. Sounds awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Well, thank you very much, Minette. Brad. It was awesome to be with you today.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody who is listening.
So I'm Minette. This is Brad. We're the Path to Profit podcast. And we have a favor to ask today. If you would take a moment to go to iTunes and leave a review, or send us an email to clientcare@pathtoprofitacademy.com and tell us who we should have as a guest on the show. We'd love to hear from you. So if you can give us some feedback.
Or just send us a hi. We love that.
Yeah, highs are great too. So thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next show.